I've sinned, forgive me, please. Have mercy upon us, O most holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. O lover of man, have mercy on us. Receive us unto you through the intercessions of your most holy Mother and the prayers of our Father among the saints, Saint Basil. Lord, make us worthy to pray thankfully, Our Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Give us this.
Okay, so we're almost there. We're almost at the end of of this discourse. Last time we stopped at paragraph 16. This is what we're going to read right now, and basically, St. Basil is given a detailed explanation of the eyes and what they're made of, and the lashes, the eyelids, and everything. So actually, before we start, I would like to ask Dr. Ahmad if he finds any mistakes, any medical mistakes in his in the writing of St. Basil. Please point them out.
I, I don't expect I will, but what I expect is that it's a, it will be a basic description. I don't think that it will be a medical description. I haven't read it, so, but anyway, it'd be interesting to see.
Okay. So, Paul, would you? Mina Onis is here. Yeah. One second. 1 second. Paul, would you like to start reading?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Okay, so I just read the whole slide.
Yes, please.
Okay. Moreover, the eyes are round. The head is placed on the shoulders without being pressed down, so that it may not be low, but it is placed on a noteworthy support, the neck. The head is high, and the eyes are twin gazes. Why was one eye not enough for me? Two eyes take each other's place, that the failure of one may have relief from the other. Then indeed, the vision coming forth from one is weaker, but the stream converging from two sources become more vigorous. For the vision is added, it rests together with the support of the nose, and peeping out together unites itself. For like some current, what is seen comes forth from each visible object, this from here, that from there, and coming forward it unites from what converges, and what is united becomes stronger.
Thank you, Paul. So he's talking about the eyes, and he's going to keep going into the details, one paragraph after the other, after the other. So to be honest with you, while I was reading this, I was not quite sure what he wants to say here, but he's basically explaining in details as much as he could. Remember, we're talking about the 4th century here. So let's keep going.
In fact, he is describing the width of the field of vision and how the field of vision, the two eyes blend but broaden the field of vision. And the other thing he described is the stereoscopy, the depth of vision. And that can only be achieved by the blended vision of the two eyes, because each eye sees a slightly different angle, so it can give you depth of vision. If you are looking to a scene with one eye, you cannot tell the depth of the field you're looking at. It's actually is very interesting that he has gotten into that detail.
Interesting. Is it really weaker the vision coming from one eye is weaker?
No, it is not. It is weaker in that you do not have a depth of vision. I tell you, for example, when we operate with a scope put on one eye only, we cannot tell the difference between one object and the other when the distance between the two is 1 millimeter or less.
Oh, I see. The 3D.
So there's a lot of technology built in to allow that vision through one eye to get a quasi-stereoscopic vision so that you can gauge the depth of field. People who lose sight from one eye have a more restricted field of vision and no depth of vision.
Yeah. They see things as 2D only and not 3D.
Yes, exactly, exactly. The 3D that people develop is actually developed by experience because you've been seeing double with both eyes all the time. You can actually guesstimate the depth if you use one eye without thinking.
Okay.
Does that have something to do with like when you're playing tennis and anticipating when the ball
Yeah,
comes?
it's similar to that, Yabuna. Similar.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, it'd be very difficult to play tennis with one eye
Right.
because of that.
I think why that's all. I think also there's a rule that you can't drive if you have only one eye.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's true or not because of the depth of vision. They can't, yani, realize, or it comes with practice. I think.
Yeah, and also because you're looking at a very wide field, this becomes critical when small distances or fast movement or things like that. But yes, it will affect your depth of vision. But I don't know if the motor vehicle branches mandate. It might. You may not be able to get it for a professional driver's license for sure. It might have an effect on the license. That's a good point. I should check it out actually. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm sorry that I.
That's fine. That's good. Mina Wanis, would you like to continue reading?
Yeah, I actually have to go. I just want to stop by and say hi. Miss you guys. Really, I wish I could stay. But really, no, I had to go.
That's fine. That's fine, Habib. No problem.
Have a blessed night.
Okay, you too.
I mean,
So, okay, Mina, please, would you like to continue reading for us?
sure.
Thanks.
What is the proof that it unites? Do you not see that the elderly do not see things nearby? For then the vision being divided is weak, it does not see what is near. But where there is a convergence of vision, as if some flood of vision occurs, the grasp of things perceived becomes more vigorous. And how many protections are around the eye? There is an inner membrane, and this is not sufficient, for it could not be thick. If it were thick, it would be a curtain over the vision. It had to be transparent and light. Therefore, one membrane is transparent, one is thin, the first is crystalline, the second is like horn. The covering one is stronger, the inner one lighter, that it may not obstruct the passage. The third is crystalline, that it might have in itself the imprint and the transparency of each. How did he know this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, he is describing, but it's not really. I mean, he's describing the conjunctiva and the cornea, which are very, very transparent and thin to allow the light to go in. But at the time, of course, they did not know the lens, and I think this is what he calls crystalline, the lens of the eye, which for young people is soft and malleable, and the muscle of the iris can contract, so it becomes more globular and it can see closer things, or widen so it becomes flatter. Then the focal point becomes a lot further out. And when you become old, this is where people develop cataract. Before the cataract, like me, I wear reading glasses. Before the lens becomes a bit more solid, so it cannot adjust to that, and the muscles of the iris will not affect its convexity. And therefore you cannot see, you see further out, but you cannot see further in to read. You need,
Wow.
so of course, older people would not be able, because glasses were not invented at the time. This is why most older people dictated their letters and manuscript, like St. Paul, was dictating. And when they write big, like St. Paul to the, I think to the Galatians, he said, look how big the letter that I have written, because this time he wrote with his own hand.
Yeah. By the way, same Basil, towards the end of his life, which wasn't much, yani, he had a lot of vision problems because he used to spend all night reading on a very, very, very dim light, candlelight, basically. And I don't know if that's an old wives' tale or not, but apparently that weakened his eyesight. I'm not sure.
It could. And of course, they develop cataract. And once you develop cataract, you're gradually going blind.
Oh, is that what he means by horn there, doctor? And
I
that it
think
begins
so.
soft and then it hardens?
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Continue.
Verses, verse 9, the second is like
No, I don't know. I
don't
think
know
that
what that
I think the horn is the scleral covering, because the white of the eye is white like a horn, right? And it's thick. I think he's comparing the cornea, the transparent, very, very thin cornea, and the sclera.
But how would he know that unless he dissects?
Well, they had knowledge of
Unless they
anatomy,
had-
but they didn't have the very detailed anatomy that we have now. But they certainly had very good knowledge of the
Yeah, of
anatomy.
course.
And these people were very well educated.
Yeah, I mean, St. Basil was educated in all the major popular schools of his time.
Yeah,
But I mean, still, like, it's impressive that he knows all these details.
yeah,
And I guess he did do a bit of medicine. I mean, he had the Basileia where he had all these sick people come, and so he might have had doctors that constantly talk to him about this stuff. So.
yeah. But the beauty is that their knowledge of nature led them to God, while our knowledge of nature takes us away from God.
Yeah. It's the confusion of understanding the how somehow gets rid of the agent who imposed or created that how. Like
Yeah.
things, if it understands how things works, then it doesn't need God. But it doesn't
Yeah.
understand how it came to be.
The what and the how versus the who and the why.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, that they have to be verses, as opposed to
Together.
yeah.
The eyelid is a screen, a curtain and covering, and is a sort of dwelling place and fortress. The hand could cover the eye, but before the hand came, the eye would already have been obscured. But now the eyelid lies close by, placed above. At once it perceives the harm and puts forward the covering. Because of this, the pupil also, placed under a covering, is not continually open to attack. The eye, alone of our organs, wishes to be untouched. It is veiled by the covering of the eyelid. It is surrounded by lashes. Why? That the intertwining of the upper and lower eyelids may be more exact, for the lashes entwined with each other are a kind of fastening. Therefore, from a distance, they stop the insects, and dust particles may prove unable to approach the pupil from all sides so as to obscure it. There is a particular protection because of the lashes surrounding us. The eye is adorned pleasantly by their outline, and at the same time, this provides something useful. Do you want to continue? The
I'm sorry,
eyebrow.
the eyebrow section.
You want to read? The eyebrow is projected above as a kind of protuberance so as to keep the vision straight. What is the proof of this? When you want to look at a distance and you curve your hand and stretch it over your eyebrow, why do you do this? So that the vision's upward movement may not allow it to scatter, since it is straightened by the screen of the hand and directed forward, making the straightness of the vision more exact and vigorous. The passage of the vision is straightened by the screen of the hand. Therefore, the eyebrows direct the eye straight and simultaneously prevent the sweat caused by labors from flowing in and becoming a hindrance to vision. Because of this, the eyebrows fortify like a wall.
Does it make sense, Dr. Max, the eyebrows part?
I should add to San Basil that it also prevents the rain from getting into your eyes, and I can
Only if you have Mina's eyebrows.
Yeah, but is that true? The eyebrows, do they play any role in the straightening up the vision, as he says here?
I don't think so. He is talking about the protrusion of the skull above the eye because the eye is sunken in. It's just that the eyebrow marks that protrusion. So he's saying that when you put your hand above your eye to see, you basically prevent the scatter of rays to dazzle your eye. That is not the eyebrow itself. It's the protrusion of the forehead, of the edge of the forehead that does that. And the eyebrow marks it. In human, I think a lot of things that we have in common with other mammals may have more function in other mammals than in human. And I don't want to get into the word evolution, but yeah, in human, I don't know if the eyebrows currently have a function, especially in the civilized world. Similarly, like the eyelashes, we rarely encounter that much dust unless you live in the desert. But what he's saying about the eyelashes is absolutely true. It is quite possible that the dark line above the eye of the eyebrow can protect from the sun, dazzling sun rays. It's in a similar fashion that the baseball players put dark tar marks under their eye for the same idea, to protect their eye from the dazzling of the sun rays so that they can see the ball flying. So that is possible, but it's not off at all. I mean, this is very impressive.
And then that is the last part in this paragraph. Paul, would you like to read it for us?
Yeah, sure. What vine dresser can prepare the vine so well as to surround it with a wall, so it is difficult to attack, and it is not assailable by the torrents alongside the field, as the Lord made the fortification of the eyebrows. Happily for us, he formed one outline conjoining what is divided on each side of the nose, so that the sweat which flows here and there may not cause any concern for the farmer. So he need not take his hand from the vine to wipe clean the sweat, but the sweat flows through its own channels. Long ago, the Creator drew it away to be discarded, so that the eye could perform its own activity at the same time.
Very interesting.
And 17, Andy, Abuna, would you like to say something? No? Okay. So Andy, would you like to read this part for us, please?
Sure. If we want to speak only of that escape of yourselves, that the skillfully wronged by God, with whole days what would not be suffered, but from this one example you get the idea of all the rest. But since we are going on a sin major journey, it requires us with prayers, that as you are spotless, pursuant, we may also be repaid the deeds of things, remembering by that the grace of the Lord, who has planted all things containing us, who has created us by his own grace, that to him be the glory unto ages of ages. Amen.
Thanks, Andy. So after talking about the eyes, that is the point. And he's saying he can take other organs and can talk about them. basically to demonstrate how God carefully fashioned the human being, and He took care of every little thing in the design of the human being. That is the point of Saint Basil. That's the point he wants to make by talking about all the details of the eyes, and that's basically where he concludes his second discourse. Any comments? Abuna, Dr. Ahmed, Mina, Sahir, Andy, Paul, anybody?
Again, I am amazed at how he sees God in his creation, how he glorifies God in his creation, how he is at awe with God as a master craftsman of a wonderful living machine. And again, he is describing very, very good things about the eye, but there is way, way more than that in the eye. And he recognizes that. He said, you know what? I can spend all day talking about this and it will not be enough, which is true. You can spend eternity talking about God's amazing craftsmanship in creating the whole universe, for that matter.
Yeah.
And I think modern science made us more in awe of this design than the 4th century. I mean, you go down to the cellular molecular level and you see the complexity of how proteins interact and how, that's how DNA is made. It's all like, it's Francis Collins, he says, he finds it very hard to not think of a creator when he thinks about this intricate design of the one cell, just the one cell. Forget about the complexity of the eye and how the one cell functions. It's just phenomenal. And the same science brought people to God, and the same science took people away from God. I mean, it's all a matter of perspective and how you look at it.
So I have a question. There is something on the chat. Let's have a look first.
After your question.
Sure.
It's a long post.
معلش, sorry.
Okay. So my question is basically the following. Having read what Saint Basil has said, and having pointed out, let's say, some mistakes in his scientific view of the eye, can I take that as a reason to discredit his writing and say, nope, he made a mistake here, scientific mistake? So the whole thing is not worthy of being read, and I'm not going to pay attention to that.
Baby with the bathwater.
No, I don't think he made any mistakes. I think for a 4th century, this is amazing. I think this is amazing. He did not make any mistakes. I mean, the only thing is that we know a lot more now, 16th century later. And he is not really writing this to flex his intellectual muscles about human anatomy and physiology. He is saying this as a proof of how wonderful the Creator is. Yeah. And he's bringing the point really across very, very beautifully.
Yeah.
But even if he made a mistake, like who cares? This is the 4th century knowledge. Like, why do we, you cannot judge a 4th century knowledge based on the 21st century knowledge. I mean, even if he made a mistake, you cannot discard his theology because of his science. I mean, that's not a.
So good. Can I take what Mina said now and I apply it also to the Bible? Like, if there are some scientific mistakes in the Bible, can I just say that that is not the purpose of the Bible, and I do not pay attention? I don't pay too much attention to that, and that's not the purpose of the Bible, and the Bible is not a scientific book.
Of course, it's
or
not. Yeah, not a scientific book at all. Not meant to be a science book. The authors, it's the typical thing, like people say, you don't go looking for biology answers in a calculus book. Like, you cannot go looking for science facts in the Bible. Like, It's not meant to be read that way at all.
So,
What is science like? So the other day I was watching something that Sophia and Antonius were watching, and they said, "Oh, why did this happen?" And the person says, "Science." And you know, oh,
Science made it.
you know what I mean? Like science is something in itself where
Science is the agent.
people have completely thrown out the idea of that you cannot say the word science without the scientific method. The 4 steps, like where are the 4 steps that we learned, like, and that we kept on repeating and kept on applying, and where's the hypothesis? Where's the fact that I verify something and I'm able to repeat it? All of that is gone. Like I don't know. Science, Scythia, as empirical knowledge, right? It's like Lennox once. He had I forget which one it is. Dawkins, the God delusion one. The God delusion, is it Dawkins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep making mistakes between Darwin, Dawkins, and then Dawkins and Hawkins. Anyways, but it doesn't matter.
Yes, Dawkins is our
the in between of the 3. Dawkins, he says to him, "Oh, really?" And then he says to him, and this is a famous, you can find this all over YouTube. He goes, "Oh, really? Do you believe your wife loves you?" Says, "Yes." "Can you prove it?" "Yes." He goes, "Really?" And everybody starts applauding for Lennox. I know it sounds very basic. But this happened on stage during a debate, and even Dawkins went, "Well, yeah," he submitted to that one. There's so much intellectual dishonesty today. It's unbelievable. Anyway, sorry, forgive me for my rant. This is not building or edifying.
And I think Richard Dawkins, like a lot of the new atheist movement, are more anti-theist than atheist. They are purposefully attacking religion, not just saying we don't believe in a God, but they're saying everyone who believes in a God is an idiot, and they're
it's militant.
And John Lennox, I love John Lennox. He's actually one of my favorite apologists, modern day.
Oh my God, yeah,
he's an awesome guy.
Because he's a fighter.
Yeah.
He's a fighter, and he's gentlemanly.
Yeah.
And his number one thing is mathematics. That makes it very, very, very strong, right? Because if you're a mathematician, you could discuss with chemists, you could discuss with biologists, with biochemists, with physicists. It's the language of science, right? Math. So, what are you gonna?
Irish. He has the spirit of C.S. Lewis. Could I feel he's?
Speaking of which, that's the quote.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Sorry, I know it's long, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Those 2 discourses from St. Basil are, they're discussing the greatness. Anyways, I'll let you all read it. Forgive me.
Where is this from? Is this from Mere Christianity?
The Weight of Glory.
Oh, the Weight of Glory.
Weight of Glory. There is no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. Nations, cultures, arts, civilizations, these are mortal, and their life is to ours as the life of a gnat. But it is immortals whom we joke with, work with, marry, snub, and exploit. Immortal horrors or everlasting splendors. There's no, it's the glory of a human being.
Yeah.
So we're done so far. Like, that is the end of this discourse. Next time is going to be Mina. Thanks, Mina, for accepting. And we have a question. Niveen has a question. She's going to throw the question, and Abuna, Dr. Ahmed, Nina, or anybody else, please feel free to chip in.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. No, because I just got a question recently from one of the youth, and I thought it also might be interesting to bring it up. It's not related to the origins of humanity, but maybe Abuna could enlighten us of something from the fathers. We can I use to answer it. So basically, already answered. It's related to in liturgy. When we say you know, amen, 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 your death, O Lord, we proclaim your death, O Lord, and then for the resurrection and ascension, we confess. Why is there the distinction between proclaiming the death, that when we're talking about the resurrection and ascension, we're confessing it, we're not proclaiming? Is there a difference why we're saying this in the liturgy? Did you get my question? Did you get my question?
The word proclaim is attributed to death,
Yeah.
and that confession is
Related to the resurrection.
resurrection.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a good question. I really don't know. I thought they were just, you know, it's the Eastern way of just, you know, repetitious is rhyming.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's
Stab at that, and it's honestly just a stab in the dark. And I know that all the people's responses in the liturgy are Greek. They're not Coptic. All the original ones. There are ones that are Coptic that came later. So if I know correctly, Amin Amin is actually a Greek.
yes, it is. Yeah.
So what is the Greek ton thanaton to Kyrie?
Katan Galoman.
Man, we preach. And after that,
Se homologo, man.
the homologom, that's the word I was looking for. So the homologia is actually not just confessing as in you go confess your sin. It's confirming. Because the homologomen are those who confirmed their faith to the end, but were not killed as martyrs.
Yes, the homologetes.
The homologetes. So the confess here means confirm. So it is easy to preach someone death, but people will not believe resurrection and ascension. This is why you need to confirm it and not just preach it. So confirm is actually more assertive, or confess is more assertive than preach, because it needs a stronger proof.
It's a martyria. It's a witness.
It is a real martyria. It's an homologia,
Yeah.
which can lead to martyria. Yes.
So until this day, my good doctor, I was just discussing this with Caroline today. Caroline's a social worker, and she's the one who sits down on what we call in French an homologue. Basically, that's when every 5 years, someone who is in the net, what's the word?
The representative.
The wakil, sorry, the wakil, the person who's in charge of somebody else, who's like, you know. Wakala amma.
Yeah.
One who has the power of attorney.
Power of attorney, exactly.
Yeah.
So every 5 years, they need to reevaluate if the person is still fit.
Yes.
The person to be, and that sit down is called an homologue. It's the reconfirming, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
And that's in litigious speech. Yeah.
Yeah. French Greek.
Yeah, French Greek.
So I don't know what you think of that. I mean, that's my take on it.
I think it's very strong. That's right.
Yeah, but is it related also at all that you know, our church, the feasts of resurrection and ascension, these are really celebrated feasts, whereas the death, you know, we mention it, but we don't. We hold a lot on the celebration and the confirmation of the resurrection and the ascension. Could that be related to?
It's the same idea. It's the same idea, but really, really here, this comes in the anamnesis part when he said, do this in remembrance of me. So we say, we're not just doing this to remember a memory. We're doing this to preach your death. And as we preach your death, we confirm your resurrection and ascension, because these are the salvational acts of Christ. So we're confirming that our anamnesis is not a simple memory,
Yeah.
but it's sharing our experience with Christ with others. That's how we practice our memory, our remembrance. Of course, it all becomes hymns that we say without thinking and
I found it interesting that question came about from a youth, like very, very good question. I have a hunch about it, but since we have the meeting today, I thought, yeah, sure. Either if you have time, I'll bring it up, or I'll bug a this afternoon.
Almost like a summary of the creed.
It is.
In a one line.
It really is. It really is.
So that was my question. I don't know if there's any other questions.
Any other questions or comments?
Or any other readings? I don't know if there's any other readings, or Mina, if you know any other books that you think are worthwhile to bring about.
Justice, I really like on social justice, the one SVS produced for somebody.
On social justice. And you're going to volunteer also for that one, right?
No.
Yeah, on social justice, on ethics.
Yeah.
Saint Basil is a.
I think these topics, we can actually advertise them well on the different churches, sites in the diocese, in an attractive way to the youth who are really interested in these issues from a contemporary way, to get some youth interest in reading the fathers. Because I mean, what you folks are doing here is really very precious. And I feel sad that youth are not really latching on it.
Yeah, it's not very entertaining, is it?
Yeah, I mean, we enjoy it definitely, but it would be great if we can bring on young people who would not feel that, oh, patristics, boring, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, what Dr. Joseph Feltus calls patrophobia.
Yeah.
It's a very good coin of a term by him. Yeah, patrophobia. Yeah, well, we definitely want any advertising, but we not to put anybody on the spot, but we really want Dr. Ahmed to cover a work with us.
Trust me, Abuna,
I know you have a lot to do. I know you're in charge of a lot. I know Amanat Khidma is no joke, but really, Doctor, if we can get anything by anyone by you.
Abuna, don't be deceived. I am honestly baby steps in patristics. I really,
Good Doctor, your solid foundation, all things scripture makes. Oh my God, makes you the most fit person in this room to speak to us about the fathers.
I contribute actively in the discussion, but I am always humbled by people's presentations. And
I've sat a few times with Father John Burr, and one of these times, I'll never forget this. We were sitting down, we were like 5-6 people sitting with him. It was at someone's house. And they were like, okay, but how do we balance out scriptures and the fathers, And so he's like, I really don't understand that question. You have to forgive me. Anybody who's really read the fathers realizes that the fathers are basically just always pointing towards scripture, right? So there's no, every time there's something, when you make a comment about something, I'm not saying this to sing your praises, and we don't believe in mugamlat, and I hate, flattery is a form of hypocrisy. But anyway, when you give a comment about something, my good doctor, it's always based on your solid foundation of the scripture, in the scriptures, and you make things even clearer for us from what the fathers say. So it would be really anything you want, you choose whatever work you want, but something that's, I don't know what's near and dear to your heart, like, I don't know, like social justice issues, I don't know, whatever you like, you know.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah, please.
San
please.
John
هي حاجة تدبس الدكتور، تفضل.
San John Chrysostom on Romans.
Oh my goodness.
You have time after Mina.
I'll finish
Yeah.
mine.
ان شاء الله تديها لنا على ال50 الجاي. I know Romans is really time of the 50.
Anytime you mention Romans, Mina will leave the room.
I'm not gonna leave the room. I've attended Romans with Uncle Ahmed like what, 2 times already? 2 times.
Yeah. How about anything on Hebrews for Lent? Is that enough time out?
Sure.
Since Hebrews is the epistle of Lent. But yeah, that's too far away. It's too far away, Lent. We want something sooner.
What we can do, it may not be one father, but I have I downloaded the book of the Christian classics, so we can do a book and go through the different fathers. Of course, they put everybody.
Yes.
They put everybody beyond the 4th century and all that. And a lot of the time, there is good stuff, and we can read it, critically even. They put Western Father Ambrosius and Ambrosiaster and
Bede.
And Bede, the blessed, and so yeah, it may be, sure, we can do something for Lent along that line, and maybe by that time God may have how would I say, given rest to my responsibility of Amanat al-Khidm, God willing.
Saint Mina يتصرف معك.
I mean, sure.
وليك.
I mean, أخذ بركة. يعني we can, but
the blessing will be all ours. I
really, I learn a lot.
You can say it in the Naveen when I say that. Yeah.
Sorry.
You would bless us.
Oh, Abuna, not the least.
Anyway, I mean it from my heart.
Thank you. Your love overwhelms me.
My witness to the truth, Habibi. I'm not trying to be nice. I'm not trying to. Niceties is hella. Too much niceties these days. Costs us a lot of truth. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Shall we?
Yeah, please.
Christ our God, King of peace, grant us your peace, that peace which the world does not know how to give, that peace which the world is barren from. Grant us to love you. Grant us to hate evil. Grant us to see you in everyone in all things, and thereby arrive at a deeper knowledge which descends into the heart and becomes real wisdom, that we may see you in all things. You blew into the trees and they blossomed. May we see your spirit in all things, holding all things together, and thereby arrive at a true understanding that points towards you, your glory, even the glory of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Make us worthy to pray thankfully. Our Father, who art in heaven,